Okay, so we're only 2 minutes late. Well, 2 weeks and 2 minutes late. But hey, welcome back to the Toffee Blues USA show. It's not late night this time because life happens. Um, I do not have Quinn with me here this week. She is currently hosting the AS Roma women's team and U19 team for her job. She's got a really cool job, and I'm sure she'll tell you plenty about that when she's back next week, most likely. But I do have my good friend and guest today, Daniel Zocek. I've just doxed him, so be sure to follow him on all social media accounts. Add him on Facebook. He loves that. Danny, say hi to the good people.
Good evening. Apologies for my camera not working. I don't know why, but yeah, good evening.
Good evening indeed. Welcome, Daniel, to the show. Again, it's great to have you. Just to tell you a little bit of background about Daniel and I, we've been friends for well over a decade now. We originally met through Twitter, right, Danny?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, through Twitter.
Hiya, Quinn.
Via Quinn, yes, exactly. It's via, not via, but that's okay. I'll give you a pass on that. And yeah, we met through Quinn. We used to have this big WhatsApp group where we'd all be in it and sending memes and stuff and the sort. It was all very innocent. No, it wasn't innocent, but it was what it was back in the day. My first match in the UK was with Danny. It was Newcastle away. I think I've told y'all that plenty of times that I went to Newcastle away for my first match, but it was with Danny. It was a great experience. We had a bunch of other people there as well. I've got a picture where I look very chubby in it, but yeah. I mean, Danny, what do you remember from that day?
From Southampton?
No, Newcastle away.
Newcastle, sorry.
Yeah.
Do you know what I was thinking? I was thinking of the picture that we got at Southampton.
Yeah. I know which one you mean.
I remember you having a hat on.
Yeah.
I remember
a beanie.
Yeah, and I remember you having like a really, really dodgy sort of chin sort of beard, like a goat.
Oh yeah.
There was no tash. It was just like some really.
It was just right here. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was quite suspect, to be honest. It wasn't a good look.
That's fair. That's the senior in high school coming out of high school, so you think you're cool.
I think it's at that stage where when you first sort of start to grow facial hair, and any beard is a good beard because you can grow one for the first time ever. So I think it was that one. Obviously, I'm kidding, but yeah. And I just remember us being like sort of near the back of the stand, and that Baines free kick going in from like 40 yards or whatever it was, a stupid distance. And I just remember someone shouted, "Don't hit it," and he obviously hit it, and it went in, and everyone just went nuts. And yeah, that was such a good memory. That, to be fair, so good.
Yeah. Well, do you remember? I've told this one before, but do you remember who was on the bus with y'all? Who you were like tasked with overseeing? You and Jed.
Oh, was that the one when Velios's dad was on there?
Yeah, Velios's dad. Yeah,
so random.
Right. Well, can you give some more insight into that? Because I've told that story before. That he pulled me aside, took a picture with me. But like, how did that really come into play? Because I don't quite remember that story.
With Velios's dad?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Jed's better to ask than me. To be honest, I actually don't know. I don't even know how he ended up getting booked onto the coach. I don't know who his contact was. I think he just appeared on the coach.
And you know for sure he was Velios's dad?
Yeah, it was definitely him. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because he added after the game. He added everybody on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
And like, I've still got him on Facebook now as a friend, and he just ran like, I'll post something randomly. Not that I post that much, but if I ever post anything, he'll give it like a random like and like comment or whatever. Huh. And like, yeah, very random.
I'll have to look out for that. But you don't post very much on Facebook, so that's fair. Yes, well, I remember you telling me that the fellow who was running the coach said, "Hey, watch after this guy," and then just kind of walked away from you. So that's my recollection.
I don't remember that much.
That's fair.
About it, though.
Yeah. Well, the big thing for today's show, y'all, we won't be doing too much talk about what's been going on lately with Everton. I think this whole ownership situation is still a bit muddled, and there's there's so much to really unpack and get into that it doesn't feel like there's really that much to talk about because it's just new group coming up. So what I wanted to talk about this week, especially since I didn't have Quinn, was really a real insight into what it is to really support Everton home and away, which is what Danny has done. He's been doing that for how many years now, Danny?
Been going properly, like consistently since like 2004.
Okay, yeah.
Like to the away games, like
wow.
Me and my dad go. I remember like going to like to Bolton in like 2004, when Sam Allardyce was their manager. They had like JJ Okocha in midfield with Gyurkaev, the French midfielder. Ivan Campo played. Who else had? I think I don't know. They had Kevin Davies as the striker. I remember that.
Davies, no way.
I think it was the game where I think we actually won. I think it was like near the end of the season. Well, maybe it was the last day of the season. I'm sure we won 1-0. I think Kale scored a header.
It was Bolton away.
Bolton away. I think either Kale scored a header or something. Lee Carsley rings a bell as well. I don't know whether Lee Carsley scored. You have to Google it maybe. I can't remember that like in that much detail, but I remember maybe Carsley had a shot and it hit the bar and Kale headed the rebound in, or vice versa. I don't remember, but I remember we won 1-0. It was like the last game of the season.
I've got
0-4-5. It was.
This is 3-2, but that's at home. Hold up.
Sure, it was a 1-0.
No, I'm gonna find it. Give us a second, because now I want to know, man. Holy cow!
Bolton versus Everton 0-4-5. I'll just Google that down for you.
I've already done that. So, yeah, back off, buddy. Here we go. Oh, here's one we lost 4-0. This is the next season. This is not helping me at all. We lost 4-0. There it is. No, that's August 21st. So it would have been the second game of the season. Marcus Bent scored. Does that ring a bell? That's 05-06. So, forget it. It doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is not for us to sit up here and talk about random scores from random games. The point is to talk about Danny's experience. So his first match is Bolton away. What?
No, that wasn't my first one. I just remember that one as a key game from that season.
What was your first one then?
First away game.
First match in general.
I don't actually know because I don't really remember my first like specific game. Like everyone always seems to have like that one game that they know was their first one. My dad reckons it was against Charlton at home. And Radzinski scored. That I think that was like the 0-2-3 season. Yeah. But I don't know whether that's like whether it is or not. That's just what my dad thinks it was. I don't know why we never kept any like sort of memory of that or recollection. I don't know. But my like earliest memories of Goodison is being like a toddler, like being like 2-3 years old and being in the Upper Gladys, and like I have like vivid memories of like being like a sunny day, like really bright. And for anyone that's been in the Upper Gladys knows that like the floor's all like wooden. It's like wood, like really old wooden floor. And I just remember being like sort of sat in between the seat and on the floor playing with an action man. On the floor,
watching the match.
And that's like my earliest memory of Goodison, but it's very vivid. I just remember like obviously how green the pitch was, how like bright the stadium was with it being like a sunny day. Yeah. And I just remember like literally sort of sat on the like in between the floor and like using the seat as like, you know, the way it flips down and flips back up again, using that to like play with and stuff with the action man. I was sort of up and down, and yeah, that's like my first proper memory of like going to the game, but I don't even know who that was against. It was just, I just know that I've been going since I was like a toddler, basically.
That's crazy. And it was your dad really that spurred the relationship with Everton, right?
Not really. Like he did take me to games when I was a baby and stuff. But I remember it was about 2002-ish. So I would have been about 7, maybe. And 6 or 7, I think I would have been. And I just remember one day he was going out to like a game, and it was when I didn't have a season ticket, and he just used to take me every now and again and stuff, but like not regularly. And I just remember one day I was like, "Where are you going today?" And he went, "I'm going to watch Everton." I was like, "Can I come?" And he was like, "Oh, match day and outsold that. I think it was the game where Rooney scored against Arsenal.
No way! Wow.
I don't know whether it was or not, but I remember he was like, you can watch it on the telly. It's on like ITV or whatever when they used to show the Premier League or Premiership on that channel. And he was like, you can watch it on the TV and stuff. And then he went out and whatever. But I remember like actually wanting to go. He never pushed me to go. He never like forced Everton on me. Like he did take me to games and stuff, but he was never like, you've got to go, you've got to be an Everton fan, you've got to have a season ticket. Like he never bought me a season ticket until like 2004. And that was purely because one day I was just like, can I come? I want to go and watch the games. Don't know why, because like there was like I didn't really have like a massive interest in football at that age. From what I can remember, it was just like just something that my dad did, and I wanted to go and just do that. And then from then, I think it's just like an addiction. What I say to everyone, it's literally like an addiction going to watch the football. Like you get like a favorite player, or like you'll go to a game as a kid and you'll win, and you'll just be so like buzzing off it, like with all the experience of it, like seeing like other fans, like hearing chants, hearing noises, and like it's something so different and unique. It's not even just football, sports in general. If you go to your first hockey game, you go to your first basketball game, whatever it may be, every game's going to be unique, but that'll probably be like a little, if something good happens, I assume it'll sort of hook you in. And I think that's what happened with me. And like, obviously my dad knew that I was enjoying going to it. And then he started to take me properly. It was like the 03-04 season when we finished 17th.
Okay.
And I remember going then and like considering how bad, like we were as bad then as we were now.
Yeah.
So you'd think going to games, watching us getting beat every week would put a kid off, but it didn't for some reason to me. I don't know why. Another like memory I've got, I remember sitting on my dad's knee because he at that time didn't have a season ticket, so he bought me like a single ticket, but obviously just left that seat empty and sat me on his knee.
Sure.
And we was in the lower Gladys, just to the left of the goal, and sort of halfway up. And I remember like that was when you could smoke in stadiums. So I remember there was some guy who was smoking, and I was like fully like coughing off the smoke and stuff. And I remember turning around to my dad one day. We were in this game, we were getting beat, and I just said like, you could pick like 11 fans out of this pitch, out of this stadium. Sorry, who'd put a better performance in than players. And my dad was like, I know. Like I remember even saying that to me dad. Like I've got really like vivid memories of things like that.
That's lovely, though. Yeah.
But yeah, that's
your beginnings as an Evertonian. Yeah, I mean, it does sound like your father was a big influence. Whether he really pushed it on you or not, it sounded like spending that time with him was something that was very important to you, and that only turned into a real love for the club itself. Wow, it's crazy. So they used to be able to smoke in stadiums in Goodison, this all-wood stadium. It is crazy. It never really caught fire. That's wild to me.
I know. But yeah, I used to. I just remember like coughing off like the smoke and things like that.
Especially in the early 2000s.
I think they barred smoking from the grounds in like 2000 and I think it's like 2006, 7-ish maybe.
Yeah.
But I just remember though. I think one thing that helped me though with Everton was because after that season I'd watched us sort of every other game when my dad would get me like a ticket and stuff. We finished 17th. We were awful. There was nothing like that was really like appealing to go and watch Everton at the time. And then my dad sorted me the season ticket for the season after. We got 2 tickets together as a season ticket. My first one was in the Upper Gladys. It was row P, and the seat was 137 or something like that. Can't remember. Row P was right at the back of the park, the Upper Gladys, and I remember that was like my first season, and we finished 4th that season. So the season before we 17th, then the season after we finished 4th, and I think like that season being so good like was another thing that maybe hooked me in, because after that season I expected Everton to win almost every week.
Sure, yeah. I mean, you got used to it really quickly. Yeah.
It went though from one extreme to the other. So it went from watching Everton lose pretty much every other week, or well, nearly every week, with the odd draw, maybe the rare win, to like winning pretty much every single week the season after.
Yeah.
It was like, as I say, one extreme to the other. So then the season after, I just thought like it was normal to see Everton winning every single week or every single home game. Pretty much we'd win, unless it was against like a top side where we might get like a 1-0, 2-1 win or something, or we'd lose. So yeah, it was weird. And then obviously but at that point, that was when under Moyes we finished 11th the following season when we had the Champions League qualifiers and stuff. But then the season after that, we were like 06-07 up to about 2013. We used to be unbelievable. So like,
yeah,
it was like
in top 6, top 8
it was a good time to go and watch Everton as a kid. I feel really grateful looking back.
Sure.
At, like being like those being like my childhood sort of era, seeing us like do quite well.
Yeah, and especially when you consider that period between when we won our last trophy, that 95 season, and before Moyes, and really right when Moyes came in, was a real kind of like a period we're going through now, a period of transition.
Yeah.
A number of different managers, ownership issues, just a lot of instability at the club. And yeah, I can see why, having not really experienced that and then come in and seeing just the tail end of that, and then seeing Everton really turn into a club that people would admire, a club that was challenging for European football every season, a club that had ambitions and wanted more. Like, I can imagine why you would fall in love with that, because it's still like you're rooting for something that you love, and it's very pure still. And you've got an owner like Bill Kinwright, who was an Evertonian. And obviously, that didn't play out exactly the way everybody would have wanted, but I could see why that was such a big, like, formative year, part of your childhood and teenage years.
Yeah.
And so now, Danny, you are here supporting Everton again. You're going home and away. You've been going to games for 20 years now. Mm-hmm. What's it like for you now? Is it like, because you and I have talked about this extensively, but how much of that magic has been lost and how much is still around for you?
That's a good question. I think a lot of the magic gone because of how stressful it is. But like as I said earlier, like it's like the only way I ever can describe Everton to people is that it's like an addiction to a drug. Like, you can't get away from it. Like, the amount of, like, over the years, there's been like little periods where like I've just thought I've had enough. Like, I remember after Millwall away, for example, in the cup the other year, like I'd just seen enough at that point. I was disgusted with the players, like some of the signings we had, like the football we were playing, and I was just like, for my own like well-being, I was like, I need to just stop going and like save money and like stop getting myself so like upset, because it just takes like a massive toll on you. Like, and obviously nobody's forcing me to go.
Yeah.
But as I said before, it's literally like having an addiction where you physically can't. You get in that like little sort of like voice in your head going, "You've got to go. You can't miss it," because it's almost like it's the fear of missing out on something.
Exactly, it's that FOMO, for sure.
That's what it is. It's like that fear of missing out. That's the big thing that keeps me going to the game sometimes, even if I don't really want to or don't feel up to it. Because like that Brighton game last season, season before last now, when we won 5-1. Like, I know for a fact if I'd have missed that, I'd have been physically sick.
Yeah. Well, Danny, look, listen, bro, just before you go further, I was there for the 3 matches before that dang game.
Oh, yeah.
And then I leave, and the next match after I get back, we go to Brighton and smack them. Like, what?
Yeah.
So you think how I feel. Like, I can totally relate to that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Going back to the thing, though, I think like the magic has been lost over the last like few years because it's been so stressful watching Everton, just everything in general about the club, not even just the team, just everything. It's been like a never-ending dark tunnel with no light coming at the end. It's just depressing. There's just nothing to shout about, nothing to get excited for. The future doesn't look exciting because it's just one thing after another with point deductions, FFP shit.
Language.
Apologies. You know what I mean? I'm just like sick of it. Like, it's just, there's nothing exciting about it. But then we'll have that one game where, like the Brighton away game, or might be the derby last season when we beat them 2-0 and that, and like they're the games where we win one and everyone gets excited again.
You can't help it though, can you? You can't help but get sucked back in with this club because we as Evertonians love this club so much and want it to succeed so much that these fleeting highs that come along this period where we're really bad and are not winning very often are just something we grasp onto and cling onto with this hope that it could be something that we see more often, that can develop and can be a catalyst for us. And it's not just this one-off where we get an opportunity to smile and laugh and enjoy the time that where we go with our mates, and that there can be some sort of turn and a revival for this club. But I mean, is that something? And we can kind of touch on this what's been going on now with this ownership issue. Is that something that you feel is on the cards?
A little bit now that we've actually, like, now that them crooks have gone 777.
Yeah, seriously.
That's all I can call them, just crooks. Like, I'm so glad that they didn't have that. Obviously, they were never gonna get it. If it took 9 months before they pulled the plug on it. I mean, that says everything you need to know about them.
Good point.
And then obviously they've got they had all the stuff to do with drug smuggling or something. Like, one of them served jail time.
Yeah,
just bad news. I think they would have taken the club even further down the pan kind of thing. And but now you look at it and you think there's 4 different parties interested or something like that. I think when I last looked, all of them having billionaire sort of backing, and that, I mean, that is good obviously, because if someone I was really excited the other day when Dell were involved, because I thought they'd be able to just wipe all our debt off and we'd be able to just sort of start again. But at the same time, it doesn't really matter who owns a club in the Premier League anymore, and it doesn't matter how much money they've got, because whilst FFP is there, it's going to just hold everybody and anyone back apart from the clubs that they want to be at the top. So we could get taken over by a Saudi billionaire who's worth 150 billion, but it won't make a difference unless we're run properly as a football club.
Yeah, and it's exactly what you're seeing at Newcastle. So, they have this crazy amount of money, rich owners, and they still are well, we're going to have to sell Bruno Guimaraes. We're going to have to sell somebody's going to have to get sold, and we're going to have to be able to fund any sort of improvement in the squad. And it is really, and the thing is they're going to be selling it to the clubs that are right there that they're trying to catch up with. So
it's just the whole thing is just, in my opinion,
it's crooked.
Because look at the Branthwaite situation now. Branthwaite to us, his value to us is, say, what, 75, 80 million.
I mean, that's the realistic value. He's worth far more than that. He's worth 120, 150 with his upside and longevity and his position and his nationality.
Yeah.
And what he is for the club right now, yes, he's worth much more. But what we can actually get for him, I get you.
But that's the thing though with FFP. Someone like Man United can come in and say there's 40, 50 million, whatever, take it or leave it or get your point deduction.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like that system is also designed for clubs like Man United, who can come in and get players on cut price deals, so they're not having to pay the full £80 million that we want and need.
Yeah. So go ahead.
And they're able to just sort of do what they want there, and that also keeps them in financial check then as well. They're getting the best the better or top clubs are getting the best deals for players, and then the clubs below them who they're taking the players from aren't fully financially benefiting from it and are losing one of their most valuable players. The whole system's a joke. It's stupid.
Well, and so let me ask you, do you think it was designed maliciously in that intent, or do you think that it was designed poorly and that these clubs are now taking advantage of the way it's designed?
Both. And obviously we've got no sort of evidence to back that up, but it's just obviously my own opinion. I think that it was designed because of the way City came. They were nothing. Basically bought. They had obviously a few really bad signings for big money and a few really good ones.
Mm-hmm.
And they obviously bought as many players for as much money as they wanted, for as much wages as high wages as they wanted for any player that they wanted, until they eventually got it right and got the success. It took City, I think, 6 years or something before they actually became a proper force.
Sure.
Yeah. And that was after they'd spent 600 million or something, silly money. I don't know how much they spent, but like you look at it that way. I think they didn't want another club to go from being nothing to being something and taking the place of somebody who brings in the money. Obviously, like City now, one of the biggest clubs in the world, and bring a lot of money and viewers into the Premier League. So obviously, those who run the Premier League are quite happy, probably for them to be where they are now because they've established themselves. But they don't want somebody like, say, Crystal Palace, for example, to get massive money pumped into them. Go out and buy
just go and spend, right?
Yeah, go and buy 11 world-class players and win the Premier League. They don't like it. They don't want that, in my opinion, because at the same time they
that's
don't
probably a
bring
good thing too.
But
there needs to be some level of regulation. There needs to be some level of equity and fair play.
I agree, but there's different, better ways, in my opinion. Like
there has to be new ways to explore it. I agree. BK Wizard, real quick. Jerry does not host this show anymore. He has just gotten busy with life. So myself and my good friend Quinn, who is not featuring today, have taken over for him. And we'll keep carrying the torch for him because he did a great job. So Danny, to get away from the financial fair play stuff, because I can tell you're getting a little heated about it, can you tell me a bit about what a match day routine is for you on an away game? How you travel, who you travel with, and what it's like being at an away stadium.
So, me personally, I go on coaches to away games. Mm-hmm. If it's past Birmingham, if it's like in the north or like Midlands, I'll just go in the car with my dad. But if it's anywhere further, I tend to go on the coach just because it's less hassle and it's just easier for me. But yeah, it's what I've done all my life pretty much when I've been going to away games. Always gone on the coach with my dad. But then as I've got a bit older, started to go with friends, and now I sort of mix it up a little bit. Sometimes I go with my dad. Sometimes my dad comes on the coach, or I'll go in the car with my dad or whatever.
At what age did you start going on the coach alone without your dad?
Without my dad?
Yeah.
I think like maybe, I don't know. I reckon I was after I was 18, I think, because I don't know, actually, I can't remember.
Okay. I mean, I was just curious, what at what point does that shift happen when it comes to being a football fan? I know a lot. You've had some experiences in the past with maybe not participating, but witnessing some clashes between fans, let's say. Mm-hmm. Is there anything notable about that? Would you say that's something that happens at every away game, or are there specific ones where it's more likely to happen?
Not anymore. It's not something that happens every week. There might be like the odd like idiot who's like trying to goad our fans or whatever, and like there might be like some kind of like a scuffle, but for anything like that to happen, I don't think it's been totally like stamped out. I've said the last proper time that there was anything was like Millwall, wasn't it? And that was obviously well documented all over the news and stuff. But like that's rare now. It doesn't happen anymore. I think that the introduction of like CCTV and stuff, I think it's made things like that impossible, whether people enjoy it or not. Like for that sort of stuff to happen, I think there's too many cameras and stuff like that now, and I think that for the people who are involved in that sort of thing, I think it makes it almost impossible to do, because they know like they're more than likely going to get caught on CCTV and then probably end up getting identified in one way or another. And I think that's what I reckon anyway. And just I think that the culture has just changed as well. Like it's sort of faded out very slowly.
Mm. I mean, the whole idea of going to the match is going with your mates, right? And you obviously you go for the football, you go to watch the club you support play, but the whole other side of it, and I think it's a side that a lot of Americans kind of miss out on, is you go to see your friends, you go to spend time with them.
Yeah.
Like, is that something that's still deep rooted for you?
Yeah, definitely. That's what's kept me going to the games, to be honest. For the especially the last 3-4 seasons where it's been so frustrating and stressful. Don't know what that was. But yeah, it's just been like a really stressful time. So actually there's been no, like, in terms of the football, how poor it's been, there's been no like actual reason to want to go. There's been no attraction there with the actual football itself. But then going to like socialise, see your friends, spend time with them. I think that's been the biggest sort of like reason to go, because you still enjoy your company with your friends and things like that, and the days are, you know, you're having a good laugh with people and like enjoying yourself that way. So it makes up for the football being so poor.
Yeah.
And obviously through the week, obviously as you said before, like life gets busy for people. So like through the week, like it's like, I don't know, if you've got your own house or whatever, or you're working and stuff, you've got like things to do like Monday to Friday, and then obviously as soon as you get that bit of free time at the weekend, that's like your day to go out and chill and see your friends and whatever. So that's like a big thing for me now. Every weekend, even though I don't enjoy the games as much, I still look forward to the trips, especially like the longer way trips where you're on the coach and stuff, where you're having a laugh all day kind of thing. So
it's fair. I mean, let me ask you this, because so one of the things that we've discussed on this in the past has been how important football clubs are to the cities and areas that they're in terms of the jobs they generate. And you can kind of look at and like documentaries like This Is Sunderland, We Are Sunderland, I'm sorry, where the idea is that Sunderland have been down in the dumps and it's totally affected the city as a whole.
Yeah.
Would you say that goes so far as to be like, when a football club does not succeed, so when Everton has not been succeeding, what has been his, like, the biggest thing that's affected everybody? Is it taking jobs away from people? Is it just the mood around the city, around, you know, the people you're around? Does it feel like there's so much overwhelming stress and doubt and anxiety about the club that it's just painful to talk about?
Yeah, pretty much. I think like just like obviously if the team's doing well, everyone's happy. Like if like look at the season, like as soon as we won them like three games, was it, or something like that, towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
We beat Forest, Liverpool, and was it Brentford? We beat we won 3 games on the bounce, didn't we? And the mood from 3 weeks before was like totally different. Like everyone was upbeat, everyone was excited, everyone was. It was like we had a bit of a feeling of like almost like a bit of invincibility. Like everyone was buzzing, like no one can beat us kind of attitude, like that sort of feeling. Whereas like 3 weeks before, it was like, oh, we're shit us. We're going to get beat again. Got the derby coming up, they're going to beat us, and you know, little things like that. And like that's what I think it affects the mood for a lot of people. And I think that's like the football's the one thing that people look forward to.
So one of the things that I think is really tangible and noticeable about Everton is that even when they're not doing well, everybody goes to the game. There's no lack of attendance. Everybody goes. The Goodison is filled up. Every away match, the whole allocation is sold out. Why do you think that is? Do you think it's FOMO like you feel, or is there something deeper? Is that connection and love for the club so deep that regardless of what the on the pitch performance is, people are going to go and support that team?
Yeah, it's definitely deeper than just like the results and stuff. People like I don't want to sort of just big Everton up, but Everton fans are fantastic. Like they're just so passionate about the club. Like there's people out there who like won't buy like necessities to survive in order to afford an away ticket. Like people will like save money, and rather than buy food or whatever, they'll spend it on a ticket instead.
Yeah, or beg for it on TikTok or something. Yeah.
Like as stupid as that might sound, like that's how much people care about it. People just like there's so much like passion in amongst like the fan base. People are just hooked on it. It's the addiction. It's just people are just obsessed. Like, it is an obsession. I'd say. Like I think fans are just totally obsessed with wanting to go to the game, and everyone's just. I think even though we're so bad, it's like a little bit maybe of FOMO, fear of missing out. Like people are maybe thinking, like if we don't go to that game and we end up winning, I'll be distraught kind of thing. But
you want to be there, you want to be in the moment and to live that moment with everybody around you, because you can't experience that moment if you're not there. It doesn't matter how many times you watch highlights, it doesn't matter how many times you rewatch a match. It doesn't know how many times somebody tells you a story. If you're not there in that moment experiencing it, then you're missing out. And
Yeah.
Everton is missing out. I mean, because I've been to derbies, I've been in away-ins where we're falling over each other when we score. Like
Mhm.
it's an experience that you really can't describe to somebody without just being in the middle of it. It's you can use words like euphoric um, and overwhelming and just pure emotion, but that only does so much to what that actual feeling is. That welling up in your heart. Because I know I've shed tears, as lame as that sounds. You definitely like you tear up a little bit because there's just so much emotion in that moment, those games and those goals mean so much that it's hard not to feel overwhelmed at times.
Yeah, definitely. It's just, I say, just. I don't even. That's one thing I think I struggle to describe. Almost like just how much it means to people.
Yeah,
Like it's just,
it's understandable.
it's
That's
just
not an
it
easy
means
thing to put into words. Yeah.
sounds a bit sort of like sort of standard, but it does mean everything to everybody. Like it's the one thing I think that people just, it gets them through the week. It's what they look forward to. They spend the money on. They want to go spend time with the friends as well. Like there's just loads of little things like that where like it's a mixture of different things, and people just get so excited, and like as I say, when things are going good, just lifts everybody. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just. But regardless of how bad we are, the fans will still go just because of how much it means to us. I think as a fan base, just the club means everything to the people. It's great.
It's brilliant, Danny. Well, I think we'll move on to our our Q&A portion. We've got the one that I'm going to ask you now that we'll answer from our overlords of the Toffee Blues. We love them. And then we've got a couple in chat. Danny, I don't know if you're able to see the comments from the YouTube. We've had like a Leeds fan in here who's been saying some nice things about us. Um, but so the question that I have for us, Danny, is what is the best food to have before, during, or after a sports match? And then what are your thoughts on the likes of popcorn being sold in stadiums like Tottenham Hotspur?
Um, Best food to have? Did you say before?
Yeah,
First thing.
before a match. Like what would you have before a match? What's standard for you?
I mean, so for me personally, it's always been at home games since I was
Yeah.
a kid. I've always gone to that little weird chippy that's like a car garage on the corner of the
Oh,
street.
I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know what it's called. I don't even think it's got a name. It's just like a little like hut inside of like a MOT garage that they sell like fish and chips and stuff on a weekend. Bizarre,
Yeah.
but that's where I used to go like religiously as from like being a kid. I'd go there, get like chips and a pie or whatever,
Absolutely.
chips and curry, chips and gravy, whatever it might be.
You don't go to some cafe.
Um, Not really, no, not on a match day.
That's fair.
That's
Not
just
really.
been my routine, and
Yeah.
but then as I've got older, I went up one match day. I decided to go to opposite the church, Goodison Supper Bar. It's
Yeah, go to some supper
that
party.
bar, well, it used to be unreal. I've not been
Yeah.
there for a while because
Yeah.
it changed ownership and
Uh,
sort of went a bit dodgy.
mm.
But then my current go to now is the hot walk.
Hot walk. Now,
Because the food in there is just
I would
unbelievable.
personally.
So nice.
Blue Dragon, and I don't typically eat a lot before a match. I'll just get like curry rice and chicken or something. I can't stomach too much. Even that's like a lot. Because those nerves, especially since I'm traveling over and I don't have as many opportunities to go to the match, the nerves get to me a bit more and it's harder to eat. Um, I have had the hot walk though. I like that a lot. I had that a couple when I last stayed at the hostel off County Road. Um, I had hot walk and that was fantastic. It was really good, really solid. Well, I guess you just call it a Chinese, don't you? That's one thing I've had to explain to this a bit. Is like when you go over, you're not going to a restaurant. You're not going to get Chinese food. You're going to get a Chinese. You're going to get a chippy. You get a Mackey's, whatever that. It's that there's little like pseudonym salt and pepper wings. Yeah. So here's my thing, Danny. I don't know how you feel about chicken wings, but chicken wings are only good if they're not breaded. They have to just be fried straight. And if you bread them, they're ruined.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. It's not usually something I eat, to be honest. I don't go for the salt and pepper chicken wings. I just get the salt and pepper chicken pieces, egg fried rice, curry sauce on top.
I dig
Winner.
it. I dig it.
But going to what you said as well before about like things like popcorn being sold,
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of that. I don't understand why you'd want to eat popcorn at a football match. I mean, one thing that I think is happening a lot to English football, especially, I don't know about abroad, but it's becoming very Americanized.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's like something because of like maybe there's more fans now like able to access games. There's more fans from abroad able to get tickets now. Like when I was a kid, I like when I remember as like maybe even the last like sort of 15 years, like you'd maybe get like foreign fans at Goodison, but like it wouldn't be like in big numbers. It'd be like very like small numbers. Whereas now you go around Goodison on a match day and there's like fans from all over the world. Obviously, like from supporters clubs and stuff. They have all the banners on the main stand now. Like there's one that like they've got like 5 or 6 different American ones. They've got like a Bulgaria Everton fan club, supporters club. I mean, I can't remember the other one. There's just so many different. I know all along the park end as well. At the front of the park, and you usually can see all the flags on the TV. Like there's loads of different like supporters club from all around the world now, and like I think maybe because of like the internet and things like that, social media, the whole culture's changed where football is now more accessible. Tickets are more accessible to foreign fans. Maybe the club has opened up allocations to supporters clubs to make them able to get like a set amount of tickets per game. I don't know, but like that's changed so much. So I think like clubs in general, especially clubs like Tottenham as an example, where they've got one of the biggest names in world football in Heung-min Son. When you go to Tottenham, like I reckon like 50% of their attendance is like Korean fans. Like literally, you just
50%.
but well, maybe that's an exaggeration, but like you literally go into Tottenham and like it's just full of like Korean fans. Like literally everywhere you look, there's Korean fans in like large groups waving like Korea flags and stuff. And yeah, like they literally all want to go to get to see like obviously probably the best player that they've ever produced. So like clubs like that where they're getting like large numbers of sort of fans from abroad and stuff, they want to make it like maybe more appealing. So I think that's why they've maybe gone for that sort of American sort of culture that maybe gets more people sort of, I don't know, intrigued, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it too comes from what the American model of, and you've been to a couple of American sports games,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's very much like it's going to an American sports match is they're trying to squeeze as much money out of you while you're in there as possible. It's about revenue. So they're trying to get you to buy beer. They're trying to get you to buy, food, drinks. They have a bunch of different food options, all these different corporate chains they partner with, and all these different beer options because they're trying to get you to spend. The thing is, like you go to Goodison and you can get a pint for what is it, like £4, £5? It's nothing crazy, right? It's you get a bottle of beer for that much. But in America, you go and you get a draft and it's $16. It's $15. You go and you get a pretzel, it's $8. You go and you get a meal deal like a hot dog and fries, it's $13. It's $14. It is the pricing of food and the way they charge for food because they know that you can't bring in your own stuff. They know that you're not going to be able to eat anything else is crazy. And that model that's being followed in Premiership clubs is based on revenue, is based on trying to generate more match day revenue because the merchandise sales only go so far and the ticket sales only go so far and the program sales only go so far. So I can understand that frustration. And yes, like the uniqueness of somebody like Heung-min Son, who has a whole country following him and fans from his country who are desperate to see him play is very unique. And you would want to cater to those people because they're spending all the money to come over. But just for the regular match day going fan and that experience changing is really a unique perspective because it is something that is to your detriment to an extent because they are trying to appeal to people that aren't the regular fan who goes to the game anymore, and they're trying to appeal to everyone, and that can seem very frustrating and anxiety inducing because the way you experience a match is changing and you're having it forced upon you. You can't really do anything about it. So Our next question comes from, and Danny, I didn't know if you knew this, but Irvin Kuman actually watches our podcast, our live show. He's one of our biggest interactors. But his question for you, and it's for you specifically, Danny, because it's a question we've had on here before, is who is your favorite obscure Everton player who you would go for a burger with?
Who I would go for a burger with?
Yeah.
Obscure player.
I'll tell you my answer. Mine was Royston Drenthe, because I figured you could have a good time with him. And if anybody wants to go out for a burger, he's probably going to be accompanied by a few beers and stuff, and I'm sure he'd have plenty to talk about.
Yeah, or Van der Weyde.
Van der Weyde too. That's a good one.
Yeah. Don't know if there's a thing there with two Dutch players there, both crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Just Everton.
The most obscure player.
It doesn't have to be most obscure, but your favorite obscure. It could, per Kroll jump.
Who I love, and I'd love to have like a proper sit down chat with him. With a burger, definitely would be maybe Dennis Stracqualursi.
Oh yeah, okay.
He's like a bit of almost like a cult hero, but I think he scored like 3 goals in his whole time at Everton for a season on loan, and technically he was not very good. He couldn't really run. He was slow. He was just obviously we signed him on loan from Tigres in Argentina, and he came over with this reputation. He'd scored I think 25 or 30 league goals or something ridiculous in the Argentinian league the previous season. So we got him on loan. We got him on it was the same season we got Drenthe. We signed them both on the deadline day, both on loan, and everyone was obviously seeing obviously back then you just went on YouTube. I mean, people still do, but people, I think now with the internet and stuff being so accessible, social media, etc., people sort of know about players before they've even come. Whereas this Stracqualursi guy, no one knew about him. No one had any knowledge of the Argentinian league. He just came randomly, unheard of, completely unheard of. And as I say, he was just he couldn't really run. He wasn't really a good. Well, I say he couldn't run. He could run. He could. He didn't stop running. He just wasn't very quick. But he used to literally if you put a brick wall in front of him, he'd run through it. I loved him as a player. I loved his work rate. He wasn't the best footballer, but in terms of how much he worked hard, he gave 110 million% for Everton. I loved him for that. I thought he was just brilliant. And obviously when he did, I think it took him 6 months to score. He signed in the August, and then I think he scored his first goal in the end of January. So it was a full 6 months before he scored the goal, and he started crying when he scored. And
it Chelsea, wasn't it?
I think his first goal was against Fulham in the FA Cup.
FA Cup.
But then he went on a run where he scored against Blackpool in the round after, and then he scored against. He did score against Chelsea as well, but he just his work rate and stuff just unbelievable. And even to this day, I'll say one of the best individual performances I've ever seen in an Everton shirt was from him when we played against Man City. It was the one where Gibson scored and we won 1-0.
Yeah, and
literally I don't even think he touched the ball once, but all he did all game was just run and just elbow back into whoever. I don't even know he was in centre half for them that night, but literally he was just standing on the toes. He was closing everything down. Even when he knew he wasn't going to get anywhere close to the ball, he'd still charge at their goalkeeper, knowing full well that by the time he'd get there, the ball would probably be at the other end of the pitch, but he'd still make that effort. And I think that was a big part of why we won that game that night, because he literally just I think just completely tired out the whole of their back four, because he was just constantly pressing. His pressing was ridiculously good. I loved him for that.
Yes, he's one that you don't hear as much of now these days. I remember when I was first really getting into the club, that he was one that people would talk about constantly. And yes, you look at his goal record and think, well, what is there to talk about? But he was very much a cult hero for his work rate, his effort on the pitch, which is something that I think is very akin to most Evertonians. They look at work rate and effort above all else and want to make sure that the team and the players are giving that ahead of everything. which is, why the past few years have been tough, because we haven't seen that from everybody in the pitch. And now you're starting to see it more under Deitch. And he has that same philosophy of maximum effort, even if the talent's minimal. And so that definitely resonates with a lot of Evertonians. That's why it hasn't been the easiest of transitions for Deitch in terms of coming in here and being able to put his foot down. But he definitely has been somebody that I always had some confidence in terms of like, he will get the fans on board with him. And just like, we're going to be done here in a second. I just wanted to touch on this with Deitch, but his demeanor is so good. And I don't know how you feel about him, Danny. I know you're kind of burned out with Everton right now, but his demeanor is so good. The way he carries himself and the way he speaks and plays his cards close to his chest is just so great. And I'm just very thankful that we have him, because there could be so much worse out there we could have.
Yeah, I mean, this season I've been sort of up and down with Deitch, to be honest. Like, there's been points where I think when we lost against Bournemouth away, like, I was just like, he's got to get rid of him.
Sure.
Like, I mean, I'm still not his biggest fan, because I think like his game management's not great, and I think tactically, I think he's just got one way of playing, and that's it. Like that run where we went like 15 games without any results was just like, we were playing so bad, but then like we went and like that towards the end of the season where we won like the 3 games in a row, and we actually played good football in every game, especially the derby game in Old Liverpool, where we're in like sort of bad form. But like we played like the game management for that game was perfect. Like we played so well. Not one player had a bad game. Everyone did so well. Even players who came off the bench, like at half time, Ashley Young came on at left back, and everyone straight away in the stadium was like, "Oh no," because you think back to the derby at home and away, earlier in the season when he got sent off, and you just think, "Oh, he's going to be against either Salah or Diaz, and he's just going to get ripped apart because he's got no pace. He's not a natural defender, so he's going to maybe get a yellow card, get a foul in a dangerous area that's going to cost us." But even he came on and he like just didn't put a foot wrong. Like it was fantastic. Like, and so you look at things like that and think like Deitch does know what he's doing, but then there's other times when you think like, why is he not trying to change it around? Why he's not doing something different than what he does? Because it's very predictable. We get the ball in the middle, pass it out wide, cross it in, repeat. Yeah. And that's like, was so easy to defend against. But then there's certain games where, like in November, we were playing really good football when we won against Chelsea, Newcastle, Burnley, and who was the other one? Was it Forest as well, I think?
Yes, it was Forest.
And each of those games, it wasn't just about the work rate. We actually played good football. We moved the ball nice. It wasn't just cross the ball and like obviously repeat constantly. It was like playing the ball through the middle, but then obviously the work rate was fantastic as well, which obviously helps. But I'm sort of still in the middle with Deitch overall, because I just think like he's too inconsistent. Game management's not the best, but then at the same time, you look at the players he's working with. He's got no money to spend. Like he's doing the best that he can in a really, really, really bad situation. That's
exactly what it is.
I don't think any other manager, to be fair, in the world would do as good of a job. Like if you put Guardiola, as good as he is as a manager, if you put Guardiola as our coach, I don't think he'd know what to do.
Yeah, I think he would. I mean, it's just for what we need right now as a club. What we need right now as a club, Deitch is perfect. Yeah. Well, I just wanted to touch on that because it came to mind. But Danny, that's what we've got for today, man. It was really good having you on, and I think we'll definitely have you on again, and hopefully with Quinn, so that we can have a nice, real good group discussion about all things Everton. Thank you for coming on. Well, kind of last minute. And what did you say? Sorry, I talked over you.
I'll try and get my camera to work. I don't know why it's not working today.
Get a little external one. Probably it'll work out pretty well for you. Mm-hmm. And I need to buy your dad's book. So that's one thing. I'll plug that. Daniel's father has written a book. What's the name of it again, Daniel? It's like some memories.
He's got a couple. There's one called For the Boys in the Royal Blue Jersey, which is there's like lots of volumes of that one. Basically interviews with ex-Everton players. About their experiences of playing for Everton. So some of the players might have only played one game. Some of them might have played 300 games. It's a big mixture. Some of the players might have only got to like the reserve team and been released. but still being like interviewed about what their experience was. So there's so many different interviews in that one. And then the Goodison Memories one is one of his newer books where he's basically interviewed either a player or a manager from every single English team, but maybe there might be some foreign ones in there as well. I can't remember, I have to check. But basically interviews with either a player or a manager of a team that's played a game at Goodison. So like there might be someone from like, I don't know, Oxford, also some random player from Oxford who might have played against Everton in like 1974. Don't know if we played down, just as an example.
Right.
And yeah, so, and it might be like the most unknown person. It might just be some random guy on the street you could talk to. But obviously, like there's an interview of each club's different experience, what they thought of the stadium, what they thought of the atmosphere, whether they won or lost on that day or drew, what their experience of Goodison was like. So it's like, as the title is, Goodison Memories, but it's from the perspective of other clubs as well. It's not just us bigging ourselves up as Everton fans with former players saying how good Everton is because that's what the fans want to hear. It's telling stories from opposition perspectives of what they thought of Goodison and how it's changed or whatever. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and Danny's father is part of the Everton Heritage Society. He does so much for the club in terms of keeping records of its history and being really prevalent and known for that. So give his book a buy. I've got it coming soon. I just need to get on PayPal and actually send the payment. But yeah, I'm really excited to read it. And again, Danny, thank you for coming on.
No problem.
We should be back next week, y'all. Me and Quinn. Hopefully we'll have a new owner to talk about. Who knows? I doubt that situation will evolve that quickly, especially with the Euros and stuff coming on pretty soon. That might not affect the ownership situation, but we will have to wait and see. Thank you all very much, Danny. It was a pleasure as always.
I
will talk to y'all soon. Thank you. Take care. See you next week.
Thank you. Bye.